list and bringing it back on 13-13.
We also have the Rumble being left open for the side of Top Esports to pick up, but I'm not too sure because we have seen a couple of Rumble games coming into playoffs. The win rate isn't insanely high. I believe it's been played 3 or 4 times and it's sitting at a 33% win rate or so. It is going to be naturally the Azir lock-in to counter the Nico for the side of Yagao in this game 1, but still that is something that Wayward could consider. But it's the reason why Rumble is such a high priority champion. It's that he wins every single isolated matchup in the top lane in the current meta. So if they're able to find a counter pick for Wayward, if he's feeling confident enough against Bin, that is one of BLG's huge win cons getting shut down.
Yeah, I will say, Kitty, I don't feel so good right now. I've started to get flashbacks to the EDG series here. The Azir and the Xayah both locked in for Top Esports. They're leading towards those heavy scaling compositions that we saw from them on the red side against EDG. Didn't feel like they played these compositions particularly effectively. We'll see if that can change here today. If they can be a little bit more patient with more scaling. That Renekton you talked about locked in for Bin. So lane domination on the cards for the Croc in the top side. And a Rel taken as well for BLG. We'll see what Top Esports want to do to round out this part. Whether they want to go for a support as well, just to make sure they're matching in terms of that bottom lane.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering if BLG can flex this Rel towards the jungle. I mean, we've also seen Nautilus jungle, to be fair, in the LPL so far, but I doubt that's going to go into the jungle. Champions like the Sejuani is going to get taken out here, while I'm assuming BLG, they're also going to take away champions like the Rumble, where Wayward does have a hard counter on this blind Renekton. But no, it's going to be the Kindred getting taken away, so they do believe that the Rel is going to be in the hands of Elk towards the bottom side. But I feel like just giving on this champion is a huge no-no. He is way too good at Rel at making things done in the early game, where I feel like this isn't even a champion that you should be letting through open. But unfortunately, with the current meta, there's too many OPs in the first 3.
Certainly are. Ivan's still up on the cards. Whether or not Shun plays it is a different question, but his Kindred, that signature being banned away, and this is one of the values of having a player like Shun on your team, right? When you can force out bans like the Kindred, which not many people in the world are playing right now, but Shun would still be willing to. Kha'Zix taken off of the board as well. So trying to get these carries out of the jungle. Something like Nocturne could still be available for Shun if he wants to lean in that direction. But Vi, also on the cards. It's snuck all the way through this draft so far.
Yeah, I'm assuming BLG is just going to pick up the Vi alongside the Nico, right? But you have to also consider the fact that, yes, it's kind of bad going into the likes of Xayah because she does have that Featherstorm available, but Rookie is in huge danger in those team fights. That's exactly what BLG needs to really close the distance between them and these long-range AP carries that Top Esports have decided to lock in. It's going to be the Jax lock-in for the side of Top Esports in the hands of Wayward, a counter pick into the Renekton matchup. However, you have also seen this being a bit of a skill matchup where it really depends on how the counter strike is going to be used to block out on that initial stun from Bin. A lot of jungle attention should be thrown towards that top side, and I want Shun on a champion like that Nocturne. Oh, that is the Nidalee getting locked in for Shun.
Okay, BLG are feeling confident here. Locking in Shun's Nidalee. He's only played it once this entire split. Obviously won that game. Like, he's an absolute monster on the pick. I am excited for Shun bringing this out in game number 1 of BLG's playoffs. And we get an Ezreal for Elk as well. All out poke from both the AD carry and the jungle. We'll see what on earth Top Esports have to answer, as they need to get some presence in this map. They've got a lot of scaling. They don't have that much in the way of fighting early.
All right, we have Tian locking in his iconic Lee Sin. I mean, this jungle matchup, I can go on for days and days. Both of these players are feeling very confident in this game 1, but BLG's entire composition, it's all about range. It's all about how they're going to be able to find the poke onto the enemy team, especially with Elk locking in this Ezreal in the matchup. He's going to outrange JackeyLove in those team fights, and they really need to play with their space. However, I feel like kind of playing alongside Yagao and Bin, it kind of counteracts each other, because you you have to consider the fact that Rel, Nico, and Renekton, they want to go in straight away, while Elk and Shun want to play the team.
To see how this one is going to go down. It's BLG versus Top Esports. We're heading on to Summoner's Rift for the first game of round 4 in our playoffs. Two teams that dominate lanes and dominate games. All right. Some scattered gyos there at the end. Fairly confident crowd. Not entirely sure who's winning the cheers, but I can guarantee it'll change after game number 1. But look at this composition coming out from BLG. Like, how do you play this out? Because I feel like we've barely seen any Nidalee coming into playoffs. We've barely seen any Ezreal. We've seen little bits of Ezreal, but this doesn't feel like meta from BLG. And I'm kind of excited to see how this early game pans out with a Nidalee in the game.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I believe the observer just zoomed in on Wayward fishing on the Jax. He has +1 gold in the top lane matchup right now, so he's currently winning in terms of gold lead. But bringing it back to BLG's entire composition, this is going to be all about the early game. Shun needs kills into his pockets because I feel like Nidalee is a champion that is a bit of a feast or famine, right? You fall off really hard towards the later stages of the game because unless you're able to find these huge spears onto the enemy team, it's going to be very impossible without vision control as well. But I'm sure on champions like the Rel, he's going to be able to really find that. But he needs to work alongside Bin for this Renekton to really pop up in the early game and shut down Wayward from finding that opportunity into scaling to the late game.
See if he can stop that scaling. Elk being quite aggressive on the Ezreal here as they move forwards onto JackeyLove. Ignite onto Elk already. He's rooted, but forcing the flash out. JackeyLove and the win in the 2v2. Who needs to scale when you can dominate like this?
Guys, what happened to respecting the Rel at level 1? Now JackeyLove misses out on an entire wave and burns double summoners. Who would have thought Ezreal wins level 1 this hard?
Ezreal just mashing those Qs out and Elk looking good on a pick that
Jax suffer in the early game.
All right, we're back onto the Rift. Apologies for all the delays so far, everyone at home. Hopefully that will be the last of it and we can just continue with the series. It's a bit of a gold lead for BLG as Wayward, starting as he means to go on, begins to proxy farm in this top side. Doesn't actually want the 1v1 with Bin, so he's just going to move further down the lane instead.
Top lane does seem to be relatively mundane for the time being, as we do have Shunan on linking up, looking for an angle onto Rookie here. He has the flash and the Shrooma shuffle, so I think Rookie should be relatively safe here, as they're just going to get some vision and control towards that bottom side river. This is a replay of what happened in the bottom lane level 1 2v2. On finds priority in the third bush, lands the W onto JackeyLove instantly, and that's just all summoners burn. I think JackeyLove should have just instantly flashed the initial engage from On, and it could have avoided him a death. Unfortunately, a little bit too greedy with that one.
Yeah, just a little disrespectful, honestly, from Top Esports, not realizing that they wouldn't win that 2v2 as BLG hit that level 2 mark. Fantastic start, though, on that Ezreal, especially on a champion like Ezreal, where you have to go for the tier first. Quite often, early leads can feel lackluster, but what this first kill does is basically get you a free tier for the Ezreal. So you get that scaling online. While you may not have a massive advantage right now because you have to go for the tier, you still, like, you skip part of that slow pace in the early game. It's even got a longsword on top of it. As we see Tian shuffling into this bottom side. Can he find the miracle gank to turn this bottom lane around?
You already see Top Esports being very concerned about how Shun could have potentially went for a bit of pressure towards the bottom lane as the wave was slowly pushing into the side of BLG. So Tian is just hovering. I don't think they're going to look for a gank. They just want this wave fully pushed in so JackeyLove can reset and at least match the tier in longsword. But for the side of Elk, I feel like this Ezreal champion, we just saw a statistic for it. It's currently 2-4 in terms of win rate, sitting at 33%. And a lot of people have mixed opinions, just like how Ashe is in the current meta. Because a lot of people are like, oh, Ezreal doesn't really do that much damage. As most of the meta AD carries right now, they go AP, they go Shiv, and they shoot you from 2 screens away. But Ezreal is a bit of a different I guess, addition to that, because he still does have a lot of great skill shots that can match champions like the Ziggs, the Varus, and the AP Kaisers, but he scales very, very slow, where he needs to get his mana unit as fast as possible online, which in this game is going great.
Yeah, so far so good for the early mana moon, and apparently it is allowed, very much so, as Yagao going to helicopter his way through the river to try and spot out Mark. Mark does get caught on a trap there by Shun, so Yagao should be perfectly safe in this mid lane. Tian wants to move into the jungle. He'll start these chickens off, but On is here, so is Shun. Tian might have overstepped for this one. This could be a full-on 3v3 for the Raptors. Flashing forwards is On, and Tian is taken straight out of the picture. Rookie locked up. Pop Blossom dashes out to safety, but Shun's gonna flash to take down his old teacher.
Not sure if the Raptors were worth giving 2 kills over to Shun's Nidalee in game 1. This is the start that BLG needed, and they protected the Raptors perfectly.
And just what a difference in this series between how EDG played against Top Esports and how BLG plays against Top Esports. Like, we saw EDG being postured out of 4v5s for Dragon just by Top Esports showing up. BLG, not a modicum of respect given to Top Esports, as they are so willing to fight you. Tian on the Drake right now, 2,000 remaining as it resets here. BLG have a bit of sustain in that Nidalee, and a lot of poke to work with as well. Tian kind of alone in the pits at this point as Mark is forced away. Rookie on the front line, rooted and forced out of the play, and BLG slowly but surely winning the battle of attrition here. On gets the stun as Tian goes in to try and finish it, but he goes down, and Rookie's got no summoners. It's everything for BLG. They are wiping Top Esports.
BLG is calling Top Esports bluff in this game. Bin even TPs towards the mid lane tower and squashes out the Top Esports roster, while Wayward, he had to TP back into his own lane, but BLG just executing the team fights perfectly. They wait out the dragon, they utilize their poke from the Ezreal, Nidalee, and the Nico, and they play the fight so slow with JackeyLove, who is already caught out of position at the very start, needing to use that flash. But you see Bin really making the difference, as well as it was, I believe, a 2-for-0 trade at the end. But still, this is not the start that you want to be looking for with an Azir composition.
And it's all about, you know, this kind of mid-jungle and how they're interacting with the bottom lane so far. And, well, BLG, certainly no issues to report in that regard. Look at where the gold is as well. Shun is ahead on the carry, and he might just find Wayward as well, as Bin forces the flash out. Wayward thought he had the 1v1 he was looking for. He's 20 CS down in, you know, against a Renekton. You expect Renekton to have an advantage early, but now with Shun on the top side as well, this should be Herald for BLG.
And Shun and On are pretty much doing whatever they want around the map now. JackeyLove doesn't even have the flash. Elk is naturally winning the 1v1 with an items advantage, working towards that Triforce. I don't know if Top Esports want to continue butting heads against BLG here.
They are going to try, though. Mark on the front line here as Yagao flashes forwards, doesn't find anyone with the Pop Blossom, and Wayward perhaps thinks he has an opportunity. Go for the counter-strike, but On denies it completely. Emperor's Divide just to protect the top laner. But now Tian is alone in the pit, and it means the 1v1 for Shun could come on through. Herald denies the perfect game from BLG.
Poor On, man. He got CC'd, and then he was met with death from Shelly. At the end, like you said, it is going to be a 1-for-1, but Rift Herald now picked up for Shun. BLG are going to utilize this Rift Herald, probably place it towards the bottom lane, free up Elk and On even more in the early game, and get that gold snowballing so early into the game. We see this fight being played out with Yagao missing out his Pop Blossom. That is huge. But Top Esports, they just don't have enough pure damage to ever fight a 4v4, while Bin was just completely zoning out Tian in this instance. And you see that with the kick going onto Bin, On also got caught in the crossfire, I believe. Yes. So it was a bit of an unfortunate one. I don't think On should have been hit there. Bit of a skill issue, but at the end, the Rift Herald goes over to BLG.
I bet On's salty as hell about that one. Shelly getting involved beats him down at the end of the play. But look at the gold difference. It's almost 4,000 at 10 minutes in favor of BLG. And we said their average gold difference at 15 minutes is almost 1,500 gold, and that's across the whole league. So you got to imagine when they do get ahead, they've got to be massively ahead for that to be the average. What? Tian just removed.
Shun has a Dark Harvester at 10 minutes. He has his first item at 10 minutes. The jungle is unplayable for Tian. Now you already see from start to finish, On and Shun are linking up perfectly where it is going to be constant numbers advantage for Tian. So he can't ever look for those skirmishes in the Riven. That's also first Dragon and Rift Herald going towards BLG, and they're snowballing this game perfectly.
Bin wanting to go in onto Wayward. He's actually going to die for this one, and he finishes the kill as well. Solo kill for Gigabin. Now in a 2v1, he will go down. Tian grabbing that kill, but my god, Bin starting as he means to go on.
And it's not about if it's worth or not. Bin is just straight up sending a message to Wayward. And the tragic thing for top esports, Rookie TP towards top and he didn't get the kill. Tian took the kill away from Rookie on this Azir, so he spends the TP just to collect a wave pretty much.
Kind of insane here. Bin destroying in the top side, almost a 40 CS lead for him. And the fact that Rookie moves into that top lane to clear the wave, and Shun throwing a spear is enough for Rookie to just have to back away completely. Like, that's a 1v1 that the mid laner can't win. Is on some fancy footwork there. Pulls JackeyLove in, forces the Featherstorm, and then dips out over the wall. Beautifully done by the BLG support.
This is quite literally On's playground. It doesn't matter how many people top esports send because he's just gonna dodge everything. And you're seeing a huge difference in terms of presence in the support role right now. On and Shun once again linking up. Tian is desperately trying to crawl back into the game by getting his cans, but it's not gonna matter too much when the enemy team is an entire half an island up on you. But the Rift Child is still up and available, so I'm expecting Shun to drop in this bottom side.
Certainly would expect that, as Elk already 2-0-4, already with a Triforce at this point is massive. You would love to keep just funneling more and more gold into this Ezreal. And I love that they're bringing out an Ezreal. It's not a pick that Elk is known for. It's a pick that JackeyLove is known for, though. Bringing it out against him, getting the level 1 kill. Now trying to pressure, in this bottom side. Like you say, Herald available. And in the meantime, Elk is just whittling away at this tower, just getting slowly but surely these plates down. Not the greatest Herald I've ever seen placed, but it will walk its way on through towards this tower. And look at this 4-man presence towards the bottom side for BLG. Top esports know they've just got to back away.
About the execution at the end, and the Rift Herald doesn't explode without getting any tower plates. So it also stops the double backs from top esports. That ruins the tempo for the next Rift Herald as well, while BLG, they're just gonna kind of reset with this gold advantage and then put their middle lane duo towards that top lane.
They're not going to reset. They don't need to. They denied the recalls, and they're going to go for a tier 2 here. You've got Ezreal, who's so good at killing towers. Nidalee's great as well. They're going to be able to finish a second tower here on the Herald. BLG, the tempo of their play is just insane.
And the sad thing is, I don't think Tian can either look for a play towards his top side. Renekton is way too strong right now, being level 11. However, Tian does have that gold ringer getting picked up, but I still feel like Bin has to be a little bit overextended in the lane if they do want to look for an opportunity. I was just looking at the statistics for Elk. Ezreal is actually his 3rd most played champion in his entire career history. So it is something that he's very comfortable on, and it is a champion that is kind of resurfacing into the current meta when champions like the Kai'Sa and Xayah are taken away, just because of how much of a nuisance you are once you get those 2 items online with the Mirror Mana, of course, as well. But we'll have to wait and see because he's very close to that item as well.
Certainly is. And like you said it yourself earlier, like Ezreal is a champion that sometimes feels a little bit slower to come online because you do need to stack the Mirror Mana, etc., etc. But when you're this accelerated, when you've got this scoreline, when your tier is almost stacked to 14 minutes, you're going to be coming online real quick. It doesn't feel like Elk needs to come online, honestly. It doesn't feel like this is a champion that needs more items right now.
All I'm gonna say is, you know a game's over when Ezreals are E in like that and he doesn't get punished whatever way possible. Shun's a Okay, Shun's going for a 1v1.
I was going to say, Shun just wins these, I'm pretty sure. Bin moves in as well.
Does he?
Shun dodges the Q, but he's taken down. Wayward with a shutdown. Bin next on the chopping block. He's pulled in, but On jumps into the fray, and they win the 2v4. Yagao arrives to keep turning this play around, and suddenly it's a siege for BLG.
A bit too ambitious from the jungler BLG. Luckily for him, not too many Dark Seal stacks have been taken away on this Nidalee. Bit greedy in my opinion, but you know, top esports, they just rotated people faster, and that is going to be a huge shutdown going towards, I believe it went into the hands of Wayward. However, I still want to kind of highlight this 80 carry head-to-head we have right now. This Ezreal is getting a tower in the mid lane.
He's going for it. Featherstorm force out. A Q would finish Jackie, but he has to back away. Mark arrives. Well, look at the confidence that Elk is playing with right here. It is an absolute head-to-head. And we said these two carries are known for their damage per minute. They're known for how much they want to dominate. And you can feel it on the Rift today.
Where do you feel JackeyLove struggling to recover from that level 1 mistake on the Xayah, the Triforce, the Manamune soon to be online for the side of Elk, and also the second dragon up and available on the map. I mean, I feel like top esports, they're just lacking so far behind in terms of tempo. They're not going to be able to really contest for any major objectives unless Wayward finds an insane flank angle where Elk does play a little bit too ambitious on this Ezreal where he doesn't have that E available. However, being someone like Elk, you have double flashes pretty much. You have the flash and you have the arcane shift, so there's room for mistakes.
I think on top of that as well, we saw from Shun's... Oh no, Tian's caught again. On is here for the stun. I don't think they have the damage to actually finish a kill here, is Elk. He's going to have to jump over the wall. True shot barrage!
Oh my!
Oh, so close.
But there's nothing topside. You see Shun's already starting this Ocean Soul, while Yagao, he's just going to match Rookie's push in the top lane. I don't think Tian is going to get sniped here. He is backing on a ward though, so BLG, they're going to utilize this information.
Oh god, I'm so scared of these spears, man. Like a single spear hitting. I know, like Shun does so much damage at this point in the game. It is terrifying. And you know, you were talking about there's the potential of Elk getting caught out. That's like the way in for top esports. But with the way that BLG have been playing, like we saw Shun getting caught out on the top side. Like Bin and On just go in. I feel like if Elk is ever out of position, the whole team is just going to jump on top and turn it into a brawl.
Yeah, the problem with BLG's composition is you often see a lot of 4-1 protect the carry type of compositions where there's only one damage source. But if you scan over BLG's composition for game 1, they have 4 damage sources pretty much, even with Yagao on the Nico who's going the Proto Belt, so he is going to hurt a lot. So it doesn't really matter if Shun does unfortunately get caught out as a bit of a straggler, because BLG Elk, he's hit his Manamune 18 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, hang on. On could be in trouble here, or could he? He's just gonna go in, isn't he? What am I talking about?
My Lord,
loses half of his health to a single spear. He's gone. Elk now over the blast cone. He wants to find Tian. Herald will be slammed down as Rookie drops the Sun Disc, but I don't know if that's enough to protect him, to be honest. Rookie versus the world. JackeyLove and Tian moving in to try and protect their mid laner. Herald will get its charge off anyway. They'll finish that one off, but now the minion wave moves in, and you know On is confident. You know he'll go for this one. A TP coming on through, and Rookie will survive. Walking away with Wayward there. Bin with the Dominus, wants to move in again. Another flash force as Rookie barely survives, and Bin cuts him to pieces. BLG will never stop going forward. They decimate top esports. A clean ace at 19 minutes. They can walk into the base if they want to.
And you have to say, it couldn't have gone even worse, but Mark getting initially caught out, he comes back, joins the fight because of how much time Rookie bought on this Azir under his own Sun Disc. He ends up hooking Yagao with the Pop Blossom further into the carries, but we'll have another look. The Arcane Shift was perfect from the side of Elk. That is one of top esports' main engages gone, and Shun being so confident, landing the Q and instantly going in for the execution, missing out on the damage, but BLG, they have pretty much everything. And just everyone look at the Nico and how she was able to get a free Proto Belt into 3 members of top esports.
Mark hooked the Nico into everyone. Oh, it's a disaster. And Top Esports, oh no, Wayward's gonna go down. Shun's just 1v1ing solo laners at this point. I mean, this has been a go next angle since 10 minutes into the game. This is Top Esports, the 4th seed. If this doesn't tell you how terrifying BLG is this year, I don't know what will.
Does seem like On's a bit caught out though. Who's caught out?
Good engage. Yeah, Rookie's gonna go down. Good damage out from Elke. Just flashes at JackeyLove. Tian. Next opponent steps into the ring, kicks him back, but he'll be finished off as well. Bin to get a couple of his own. They thought they had a chance. They just get eradicated again. It's a 14,000 gold lead.
It's an absolute massacre. It's 20 kills to 3 right now. This is our top 4 teams competing for a spot in the upper bracket finals. And this is an absolute stomp of a game 1 from BLG.
Do you know, I criticized the Xayah Azir composition against the EDG because they were a bit too proactive, too willing to take fights when they were just slightly behind. BLG never even gave Top Esports an opportunity to think about what fights they're taking. BLG are just running at them.
Well, now we know if Top Esports, they don't get an early advantage in the first 15 minutes. It's so hard to recover for JackeyLove on this Xayah as well, and that is something to reconsider coming to game 2 when if you decide to go towards that red side again. But Top Esports in particular, it does feel like they are much more comfortable on the blue side. So we'll have to wait and see if they decide to kind of go back onto the Azir and Xayah for 2 games. But, you know, I just feel like, no, it's not a draft problem, it's a game problem. On and Shun were linked up so well together, especially towards that first dragon.
Oof. Shun turns gold and Mark unfortunately can't find that hook for himself. True Shot Barrage forces the Feather Storm. His Bin is just diving into Inhib towers at this point. He's got a GA and Elk can just free fire while the Croc is under the tower. Elk ready to jump over when he comes back, and in the meantime, Shun is just wiping the rest of the team off at the face of the rift. This is decimation by definition from BLG. They enter playoffs, their first game here in round 4 after a record season in the LPL, and they continue as they started, absolutely annihilating Top Esports. Top Esports have yet to win a game against BLG this year. I don't think that's going to change today, Key, not after this game 1.
And if BLG end here, this is going to be the fastest game we've had so far in the summer playoffs. This was an absolute disaster coming out of Top Esports, and not the start that you want to be looking for this series. But BLG, I mean, they really showed up